Dream, search, drive. Cars.co.za.
Keep your adventure alive, because when it comes to finding the right part at the right price, there's just no place like Midas for the love of cars.
Hi, I'm Marcello Massia. I'm the director of Venturi Customs, and I'm the owner of these two Uno Turbos. The reason why I love Uno Turbos is it was my first love for cars. My father had an Uno Turbo growing up. I had one growing up, and that's how the love and the passion started. The Uno Turbo was special to me because it's so underestimated. You pull up to the robot or you're on the highway, all these big fancy cars, they think, it's just a 1400. But then they get a big surprise when you do come past them at a ridiculous speed or hurt them at robot to robot, then they respect you after that. The white car was actually quite of a funny story. It broke.
Hi, my name is Bakker du Plessis, and this is a Uno Turbo that I'm driving.
The head gasket popped because it was overboosting, and then another guy bought it, he fixed the head gasket on it, and it was still overboosting. And then, funny thing is, my wife bought it for me as a surprise. And then I had a look at it, I changed the two vacuum pipes on the wastegate, and it seemed to be boosting 100% perfectly fine. And then from there, we just made a few changes, changed coilovers all around, gearbox with a quaif diff, fuel cell, AEM, fuel pump, water meth, and yeah, that's where it is now. The turbo, I'm not too sure. It's a hybrid in between a GT30, somewhere there. It's a 57 mil. The most recent dyno date made 285 kilowatts, 469 newtons on 2-bar boost. The motor is a Palio 1600 16 valve, fully forged bottom end, stock head, stock cams. Drives like a normal car, no boost, and it's quite fuel efficient for what it is. The Palio 1600 16 valve turbo conversion swap is not the most popular thing because it's time consuming, it's quite expensive, and you need to do quite a bit of fabrication work on the engine mountings, and to get everything right is a bit iffy. I think doing the Palio 1600 16 valve engine swap is well worth it if you do it right. Like, the power increase is much more, and bang for buck, it's much better than a 1400 8 valve. Yeah, so second gear was about 1.2 bar, this is boost per gear. Then third gear is about 1.8, 1.6, 1.8 bar. And then fourth gear goes straight to 2-bar boost. Gives you everything. That's the nice thing about this ECU. Everything is controlled and feeds back everything to you. So when I first got the car, it was running open diff, and we actually ran a 12.8 with an open diff, but a lot less power, running at about 190, 200 kilowatts on the wheels to get that 12.8. And now with the quaif diff we put in with the special gearbox, it seems to be taking a lot more punishment and holding the power much better. So we'll be eager to see how much or what time we'll run with all the power and the quaif diff in it. With this new setup, our target for this car is low 12s, high 11s. Hopefully we get there. If nothing breaks, no shafts break, but it should run that time consistently. The brake system on this car is still standard Uno Turbo discs, just been slotted with EBC yellow pads in between there, which helps it stop a little bit better. So when I first got the car, it was running full street tires, which didn't make sense in the car because it was just too much of a handful to put that power down on the street. So we changed it to Toyo R888R semi-slicks, 15-inch. And then when we go racing on the track, we use Mickey Thompson full drag slicks when we go race. As a business owner of Venturi Customs, which we work with fabrication all the time, we actually did a bit of fabrication on this car to make it a bit more stable. So we put a full chrome moly brace underneath the car just to make it more rigid and to stop it flexing. It was built by Tian Smith. The car is a bit of a handful to drive on the street with all that power. The wheel spins first, second, third. Even with the Toyo R888Rs on it, it's still a handful. But at the track, it's not so bad. It manages to keep the power down reasonably well because it's got boost per gear. If you don't know how to launch it properly or you don't know how to change it at the right RPM, it's gonna bug or you're not gonna run a decent time. Yeah, like as long as you don't push it past 4,500 RPM, it drives like a normal car. Just a lot louder. It's a straight pipe with just a resonator on to stop the droning, but other than that, it's a normal car to drive on the street. Interior wise, it's got two Kirkies, full roll cage, full harness. It originally had the original fuel tank in, but we changed it to a fuel cell with the AEM fuel pump and water meth included as well in the back of the car. The nice thing about this ECU is I put 95 in and it adjusts everything for me. I don't need to put it on a different map or anything. It brings down my boost, brings down timing. That's a nice thing about ECU Master. And I got a very good, or the best tuner in my eyes is Priyan Govender from Ice Motorsport. He tuned it very well. It's smooth and reliable, and it's a monster. So you got the best of both worlds. Yeah, it's got my fuel pressure, my oil pressure, water temp, air fuel ratios, boost, flex fuel, how much ethanol, petrol I have in. And if there's any problems, the nice thing about this ECU is if there's any problems with sensors or something wrong with the motor, it cuts you immediately. So it puts it in limp mode just to save your motor. So the Uno Turbo, the maroon Uno Turbo I have, it's a 1408 valve, fully built motor, gearbox built just like the white car. It's not running right now. We're running a ECU Master Black, still needs to get wired in. And then I got the white Uno, the 285 wheel kilowatt monster, and then I got a bigger project coming up, 1408 valve, fully built precision turbo, quaff diff, all of that. We're running methanol, but it's coming soon.
Are you busy trying to decide between 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars, 5 cars, 6 cars, and getting absolutely lost in all of the specs and all of the different pricing? Well, we have an excellent compare tool on our main website and in our app for you to use. It's very detailed, it's very slick and quick and efficient, and I highly recommend it. I use it all the time when I'm doing research for our car shoots. So check it out. We'll put the link in the description below and tell us what you think. Tell us if it helped you out.
Keep your adventure alive, because when it comes to finding the right part at the right price, there's just no place like Midas. For the love of cars.
Cars.co.za.